Boom! Look at this eel's face. Absolutely classic. He's like, "What?" Now, that was a great shot, but then I decide, hey, let me do a little bit of shish kebab, and boom. And let's see if I can get this next one. And look at that patch there. Boom. That patch is a patch of eggs from the Sergeant Major fish. The cool striped black, white, and yellow fish. Shove those in here. Let's see if I can do that again. That was such a boom. Such a perfect shot. Let's see if I can nail another shish kebab sandwich. Boom. Now, this may seem like, oh, you're so excited about killing these lionfish. Really, I'm excited about saving fish. By killing these fish, we're saving fish, so don't take it wrong. I'm not, like, really happy to kill this fish, but I am happy to save fish, so boom. That always makes me happy when I can do the reef a favor. These lionfish were introduced here, and it's really not fair to all the other fish. You know, we need somebody to go out there and be the predator that they don't have in this area. Look at how pretty this area is, by the way. This was a cool little island that Alex, oh my gosh, the big one. Boom, I was so excited to finally get a decent-sized lionfish, about 14 inches. They get much bigger, but, you know, look at him. I stoned him, too. Got him really good. He started losing his color because he was hit so perfectly. That means he was dead right away, which is always good. I don't like them to suffer or anything like that, but boom, Alex decided to drop me on this really cool spot that nobody really hits. It's out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just this random chunk of reef. Look at this hermit crab. Super cool, hanging out underneath his little cave. This island's so far off of the main reef that without a scooter, there's really no way to get to it. Unless you just drop somebody directly on it, you're really not going to get to this little chunk. And boom! But there were a lot of little lionfish on it because this is a haven for all kinds of little minnows that come in from nowhere. And there's a haven for some trash too, apparently. So all of these smaller fish like to grow up in these areas that are a little off the reef. And the moray eels I could take advantage as well. See that fish that just swam by? That was that Sergeant Major we were talking about. And look at this beautiful parrotfish. Super pretty. There's so many different types of parrotfish. And these are triggerfish. And look at this behavior. We've got this non-threatening, non-fish-eating hogfish with its very fast little jackfish on top. I think this is some sort of lesser amberjack, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's using that fish as like a cover so he can go eat. There's more of these patches of Sergeant Major eggs, and they defend them very violently. And I didn't really see the Sergeant Majors around. They must be scaring somebody off. Little groupers are all over the inside of these crevices. So I really want to scour this area and go back over it and make sure I didn't miss anything. And I head out to the deep now. Now we have our tons of little remoras all over this nurse shark. He's probably a little bit irritated by all of these frickin' remoras covering his little body. But that was a pretty good-sized nurse shark. Now, the sand gap between the reef is quite large, so we finally, boom, get back to the lionfish slaying. We had to cover a long distance there. Sometimes it takes, 8 minutes on the scooter. So you can imagine how long it takes. If you didn't have a scooter, it'd be absolutely impossible. You'd be way down the reef before you found anything. And this area of the reef tends to have some really cool stuff. I got to be really cautious not to spook this guy. Boom. It's an area that's not hit very much as well because it's off of the main reef. It's like in between the great big reefs out there. And there's typically nobody that goes to these areas unless they know what they're doing and they know what they're looking for. So this is a pretty cool little trunk fish here. And all of a sudden I look up and boom, lemon shark. Now lemon sharks can get up to 12 feet long. It's pretty rare for them to get that long. But they're called lemon shark because they look kind of yellow. In the deep ocean here, you can't really see that, first of all, because yellow is a warm color. So when you go deeper in the ocean, you're losing those warm colors. This is 75 feet deep, so you're losing a little bit. He's only got one little remora friend, but he kept kind of coming back over and over again, just kind of checking up on me. He could smell a little fish coming from my zookeeper there. And look at this, queen and a blue hanging out together. You see the queen has a fully yellow tail where the blue has just a little strip. There's the blue. You see the strip on the edge, and there's another blue. I think that might be an intermediate. Sometimes they have two different ones. They mate and they create like an in-betweener. Boom. It's got two different species making another kind of, I guess you'd call it the queen blue or something like that. There's that lemon again. He's off in the distance. I'm shooting lionfish right in front of that shark, and I'm not too worried because the sharks, they're just kind of curious. They want some food, but they're not going to go hurt you over it. They're scared of you, so they're not going to take that risk. See how he's just cruising by? I would get close to him, he'd scare off, and then before you know it, he'd be right on my tail again, just kind of watching and seeing what I'm doing. Pretty darn cool. Now, they also have dorsal fins that are about the same size, kind of like a nurse shark. And like a nurse shark, they can actually just chill and rest on the bottom, which is kind of cool. There's some porkfish, not to be confused with the yellow, black, and white ones I was talking about earlier. Porkfish are completely different. They're not a damsel. They're not the sergeant major. Look at how pretty this is. Such cool. Now people say, oh, it looks dead. No, there's a lot of color down there. It's just you can't really see it. All that texture and detail, all of that is sponges and soft corals and hard corals and, you know, just tons of stuff. Tons of different undersea reef features. Those are some cotton wicks with a little black stripe on their back. And we're going over here to see the porkfish again. And that blue one there is a tang. It's a type of tang or surgeonfish. They're also called surgeonfish. Let's see if we can get this guy. Boom! Now I like to come in and you can kind of catch their gill with the spear right along the gill plate, and it's a great place to shoot because it's just sticking out a little bit, so it gives you something to aim for. A little spiny lobster there. People like to catch those, but we only catch lionfish. Look at there he is again. This is the darn lemon shark. It gets a little unnerving. I'd rather see the lemon shark than not see the shark, you know. Couple of jacks. I'd rather have them in my periphery than not have them in my periphery. Sometimes it gets a little spooky when you're like, okay, he was here, but now where is he? Especially when it's like a bigger shark or a bull shark. I'm not afraid of bull sharks. I really like them. I respect them. I don't find them to be as worrying as a small shark. Boom. So bull sharks are actually my least, I would say, other than lemon sharks, they're one of my least worried about sharks. You know, I don't really care that they're around because they're not really that aggressive. Look at that. He has a double surgeon. So the surgeonfish is called, that one's called a filefish, but the surgeonfish is called a surgeonfish because it has a sharp razor on the edge of its tail. And that guy has two of them. Boom. Two razors. And they use those for defense. And when they go into a hole, you know, that sharp razor is the only thing there to grab a hold of, and nobody wants to bite. Boom. The sharp razor. I end up losing this guy. Oh, darn it. He slipped away from me. You can't get them all. I think that was the only one I lost. That. Boom. And that one, I did lose him for a second, and I was able to get a second shot, take him out. Perfect. So I appreciate you guys laying off the politics videos for a second and watching us